Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Wasemann. And if you are like me, you are to a point with your slideshow presentation where you feel like maybe I'm done. So the question is, am I done? And how do we know? So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to look at your presentation from beginning to end. At this point, you've been looking at all the different slide parts, looking for photos and text features, adding in captions, jumping back and forth. What I want you to do now is I want you to look at the final product from beginning to end. And the way that you do that is you go up here in the toolbar where it says View, and I want you to select the prompt Present. And what that will do is that will put your slideshow full screen, and then you will be able to toggle from one slide to the next in full screen. Now you can use the tools down at the bottom, or usually just clicking the left-hand button on your mouse will move the slideshow across. And this is what I want you to do. With each slide, I want you to read the text of your biography from beginning to end. I would suggest that you read it aloud so that you can hear the words. Sometimes hearing it read aloud will help you determine whether or not the text makes sense. You know, sometimes we get ahead of ourselves when we're composing and writing and we're thinking about what we want to say, but sometimes what we're thinking about doesn't always end up on the page. That's why I always recommend that writers reread their work frequently. And that's what I want you to do. Reread each piece, each slide from beginning to end. And as you read, I want you to think about how is the slide, the text features, the photos, the captions, adding to the understanding that the text on the page is giving. I want you to approach this as if you didn't just spend the last few weeks researching this topic. I want you to look at it with fresh eyes, as if you were one of your classmates. And once you've gone through each slide and assessed its merits, if there's something that you feel like you can change, go back and change it. Now, I'm going to exit out here. There's a point in which you have to be done because there's lots of cool and interesting little tidbits of information that you could add into the biography. There's also lots of different images and text features that you could cram in. There's going to come a point where you've given me enough. And that also, too, is what you have to decide. Have I given enough? The minimum requirement is that there's text on each slide, and there's at least one text feature, whether that be a photo, a map, or something visual that accentuates the experience of reading the text. Now, for example, on this slide right here, I was able to fit in 4 movie posters. Now, I could have tried to fit in every movie poster for every movie I mentioned in the text, but then it would become very, very crowded and it would kind of lose its appeal. Sometimes less is more. But there's a point where you've decided that I've done enough. I've got all the content in the body of the biography text. I've given lots of examples. There's lots of cool text features. So now we're ready to publish. So the last thing you'll want to do is go back to this first slide, the instruction slide. This does no longer need to be part of your slideshow presentation. This was the instructions. It's like when you get a Lego kit and they give you that instruction booklet. It's really important in the beginning building process, but once you're done building that Lego set, you don't need the instructions anymore. So what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight this slide and then we're going to delete it. So the first slide of your slideshow should now be your cover or title slide. This one right here I have with Steve McQueen, and I used an image as the background. So I would suggest that you get an impartial observer to take a look at your work. Have a parent or an older sibling sit down with your slideshow and do the same thing that I asked you to do as you were reviewing it, to view it from beginning to end, to judge the merits of how informative this slideshow is. If your observer feels like you've done a good job, then you're probably ready to post it, which will be explained in the next video tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing your final product. Thanks.